My name is Christine Walsh. I'm 42 years old. At 7:21 on a Friday evening, my sister dropped her two children at my front door, handed me a diaper bag, and said, "I'll be back in an hour." She was gone for 3 days, not 3 hours, not overnight after a genuine emergency. 3 days. 71 hours and 18 minutes. If you count from the moment she kissed her kids on top of their heads and backed out of my driveway like she was running late for a dentist appointment, to the moment she finally walked into my kitchen, wearing sunglasses indoors and smelling faintly of pool chlorine, coconut lotion, and expensive hotel soap. Her son Noah was 5. Her daughter Lily was 2. Noah had one stuffed dinosaur, light-up sneakers, and the kind of anxious eyes children get when they have already learned adults do not always mean what they say. Lily was still in pull-ups at night, still needed help falling asleep, still cried if her applesauce touched anything warm, and still called me Aunt Chrissy like it was one long word. I loved those children. That was the problem my sister kept counting on. My sister Amanda had always treated my love like emergency infrastructure. Something she did not have to maintain because it was expected to keep working. She called at 6:40 that Friday. I was in the middle of making soup, still wearing my work blouse and slippers, because I had spent the day managing payroll issues at the dental office where I worked as practice administrator. My back hurt. My house was quiet. My plan for the evening was soup, laundry, and absolutely no one needing me for anything. Then Amanda's name flashed across my phone. I almost did not answer. That is the part people judge until they have a sister like Amanda. I answered anyway. "Hey, Chrissy, I need a tiny favor." I closed my eyes. How tiny? 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes, max. No. I said it before she explained. Progress, I thought. She laughed like I had made a joke. "You don't even know what it is." "I know you." Wow, hurtful. "What do you need?" She lowered her voice, which meant she had already decided to make the situation sound heavier than it was. "My manager called me in. Emergency staffing issue. I have to go cover a shift meeting, and Mom isn't answering." Amanda worked in scheduling at a regional medical supply company. At least, that was what she told people. Her job had regular hours, benefits, and a supervisor named Marlene, whom she complained about constantly. "Where's Derek?" I asked. Derek was her ex-husband, father of the kids, and currently living 2 states away after taking a warehouse job in Indiana. "He's not answering either. Please, Christine. It's 1 hour." I stirred the soup and looked at the clock. "Amanda, I have work tomorrow morning." "For a dental office." "On Saturday?" "Quarterly inventory. You know that." "I will be back before bedtime." That was a lie, not the biggest one, just the first. I said 1 hour. "Yes." "You bring dinner for them?" "They ate." Lie number 2. Pull-ups. In the bag. 1 pull-up as it turned out. Pajamas? In the bag. Pajamas for Noah. Nothing for Lily. Car seats? I'll leave them. She left 1 booster and 1 car seat with twisted straps, crumbs in the base, and a sticky juice pouch wedged underneath. I should have said no, I know that now. But loving children makes fools of women who remember being dependable before they remember being tired. Amanda arrived at 7:21 with the kids in the back seat and the radio too loud. She was wearing jeans, a black top, gold hoops, full makeup, and perfume too strong for a staffing emergency. Noah climbed out first. "Hi, Aunt Chrissy." "Hi, sweetheart." Lily reached for me immediately. "Chrissy house?" "Yes, baby. Chrissy house." Amanda opened the trunk and pulled out a diaper bag, then shoved it into my arms. "I owe you so big. You owe me 1 hour." She kissed Noah's hair and Lily's cheek. "Be good, Mommy has work." Noah asked, "Are you coming back before my dinosaur show?" "Yes, baby." 1 little meeting. She did not look at me when she said it, I noticed. Then her phone buzzed, and her face lit up before she turned away. "Work?" I asked. She shoved the phone into her back pocket. "Yes, Marlene's losing her mind." At 7:28, she drove away. At 8:12, I texted, "How long?" No answer. At 8:46. "Kids are asking, ETA? No answer. At 9:15, Noah fell asleep on my couch sitting upright with the dinosaur tucked under his chin. Lily cried for her mother until she hiccuped, then finally passed out in my lap, wearing one of my old t-shirts because the diaper bag had no pajamas for her. At 9:32, Amanda texted, "Sorry, still stuck, another hour." I replied, "No, you said 1 hour. Come get your kids." No answer. At 10:40, Amanda, "Answer me." No answer. At 11:15, I called. Voicemail. At midnight, I called again. Voicemail. At 1:06, I checked the diaper bag for anything useful and found 2 granola bars, 1 pull-up, a half-empty wipes pack, no toothbrushes, no medication, no insurance cards, no extra clothes for Noah, no shoes for Lily, besides sandals, and a crumpled receipt from a nail salon dated that afternoon. That was when worry and anger began twisting together. Because my sister was irresponsible, yes, but 3 unanswered calls with 2 children left behind is not just irresponsible. It is a door opening to panic. At 7:28 Saturday morning, Noah woke up and asked, "Is Mommy at work still?" I stood in my kitchen flipping pancakes from a mix I did not know I owned and said, "I'm going to call her." He looked down at the table. "She does that sometimes." I turned slowly. "What do you mean?" He traced a finger through a syrup drop. "Works long." Lily banged a spoon on the high chair tray. "Mommy, work!" Noah did not smile. I called Amanda again. Voicemail. Then texted, "It is morning. You left your children here overnight without permission. Call me immediately." Nothing. At 8:10, I called my mother. She answered in that bright voice she used when she did not want to deal with the truth before coffee. "Good morning, honey. Have you heard from Amanda?" A pause. "Why?" "She dropped the kids off last night for 1 hour and never came back." Mom sighed, not gasped. "Not what?" Sighed. Amanda can be so overwhelmed. I gripped the counter. "Mom, she disappeared overnight." "Did she say she was working?" "Yes." "Then maybe she is. Her kids are here without clothes, medicine, or enough diapers. She knows you're good with them." There it was, the family curse. "You're good with them," as if competence removes the right to consent. I said, "Do you know where she is?" "No." "Can you call her?" "I will, but don't make this bigger than it is." I looked at Noah in my kitchen, wearing yesterday's shirt, waiting too quietly for pancakes. It is already bigger than it should be. Mom called back 20 minutes later. No answer. "Did you leave a message?" "Yes." "What did you say?" "I said you were upset." I closed my eyes. Not the kids need you. Not where are you. Not you abandon your children. Christine is upset. My mother had spent our entire lives turning Amanda's actions into my emotional problem. I hung up and began making a list. Because when I do not know what else to do, I document. Friday, 7:21. Amanda dropped off Noah and Lily. Said 1 hour. Friday, 9:32. Text said another hour. No response after. Saturday morning. No contact. Bag missing necessary supplies. Children asking for mother. I photographed the diaper bag contents. I screenshotted texts. I saved call logs. Not because I wanted to punish her at first. Because something in me understood that if Amanda returned with a story, my family would ask why I had not been more understanding. Receipts are armor for women who are always told to be softer. By Saturday afternoon, I had bought pull-ups, children's toothbrushes, socks, underwear for Noah, 2 outfits from Target, milk, applesauce pouches, chicken nuggets, and a small pack of dinosaur stickers, because Noah had asked if he had done something bad. That question nearly broke me. Did I do something bad and Mommy left? I knelt in front of him in the children's clothing aisle. "No, sweetheart, you did nothing bad." "Then why didn't she come back?" There are questions children ask that adults do not deserve to answer with lies. But they also do not deserve the adult truth. I said, "Mommy made a grown-up mistake. I'm keeping you safe while we find her." He nodded. "Will she be mad?" "At you? No." "At you?" I looked at his face. "Maybe. She can be mad at me. I'm the grown-up." That seemed to comfort him. It should not have had to. Saturday evening, I called Amanda's phone from my office line at the dental practice because I wondered if she was ignoring my cell. She did not answer. I called her ex-husband Derek. He answered on the second ring. Christine? Do you know where Amanda is? No. Why? She left the kids with me yesterday for 1 hour and hasn't come back. There was a long silence. Then he said a word I will not repeat in front of imaginary children. I'm in Indiana. I can start driving. She told me you weren't answering. She didn't call. Of course. Derek was not perfect. Their marriage had failed for real reasons. But he loved his children, and I heard fear in his voice immediately. When did you last speak to them? I asked. Wednesday. Video call. Noah said Mommy had a work trip but wasn't sure. A work trip? She told them she might have to go away for a night. My stomach went cold. Did she tell you where? No, I thought she meant next week. I heard him moving around. I'm coming. Derek, it's a 10-hour drive. They're my kids. Yes. Good. Finally, a sentence that made sense. I told him I would keep them safe until he arrived if Amanda did not return first. Then I texted Mom. Derek is driving from Indiana because Amanda is missing. Mom called immediately. Why would you involve Derek? I stared at the phone before answering. Because he is their father. You know how Amanda feels about him. I know how Noah and Lily feel about being left for 3 days. It has not been 3 days. Not yet. Christine, don't be dramatic. There it was. The word families use when evidence starts getting inconvenient. I said, if she is not back by tomorrow morning, I am calling for formal help. Mom whispered, you wouldn't. Watch me. She cried, not for the kids, for the scandal. That night, Noah slept in my guest room with a nightlight and his dinosaur. Lily slept in a portable crib borrowed from my neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, who said nothing when I explained only that Amanda was unreachable. She just handed me sheets, a pack of pull-ups, and a look that said she had seen enough families to know not all emergencies arrive with sirens. At 2:15 in the morning, Lily woke screaming. Not fussing, screaming, Mommy! 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 I picked her up and walked the hallway until my knees ached. Noah appeared in the guest room doorway rubbing his eyes. She does that when Mommy stays out, he said. I froze. When does Mommy stay out? He looked suddenly scared. I softened my voice. Hey, you're not in trouble. He shrugged. Sometimes. How often? I don't know. Do you stay with someone? Mrs. Paula downstairs. Or the neighbor. Or me and Lily watch cartoons. My stomach turned. Noah was 5. I sat on the carpet with Lily sobbing against my shoulder and Noah standing in the hallway like a child who had accidentally testified. Thank you for telling me, I said. He whispered, don't tell Mommy. I closed my eyes. That was when my anger changed shape. Before, I was angry as a sister. Now I was angry as the adult in the room. Those are different fires. By Sunday morning, Amanda still had not called. Derek was on the road. Mom had left 8 voicemails asking me not to make anything official. I fed the kids scrambled eggs, washed their clothes, and called Amanda's workplace. Not her boss yet. The main office number. A receptionist answered. Fenton Medical Supply. How may I direct your call? Hi, I'm trying to reach Amanda Walsh. There was typing. She is not scheduled today. Was she scheduled Friday night? No, ma'am. Our office closes at 5. I closed my eyes. Was there any emergency staffing meeting Friday evening? I wouldn't know details, but our managers do not hold Friday evening meetings unless it's pre-scheduled. Is Marlene available? Marlene Price? I had never known her last name. Yes. She is out until Monday. Thank you. I hung up. Amanda had not been at work. Maybe she had been somewhere dangerous. Maybe she had been with someone. Maybe she had turned off her phone and decided motherhood could wait until she was done pretending to be someone else. But the work story was cracking. At 11:40, Amanda finally texted, "Sorry, phone died. Crazy weekend. Be there soon." I stared at the message. Crazy weekend, not, "Are the kids okay?" Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I lost track and I know I scared everyone." Crazy weekend. I replied, "Where are you?" No answer. I texted. Derek is on his way. She replied immediately. Why would you call him? There she was. Phone miraculously alive when consequence appeared. I wrote, because you abandoned your children for nearly 2 days after saying 1 hour. She replied, I told you I had work. I wrote, your office closes at 5 on Fridays. No answer. At 1:23 Sunday afternoon, Derek arrived. He looked exhausted, unshaven, and genuinely frightened. Noah ran to him and burst into tears. Lily followed because Noah was crying, then realized Daddy was there and screamed with relief. Derek knelt on my floor and held both of them like a man trying to apologize with his whole body. I'm here, he kept saying. I'm here, I'm here. I stood in the kitchen and cried silently because I had been holding myself upright for 42 hours, and the sight of another adult finally taking responsibility made my body understand how tired it was. Derek stayed at my house that night with the kids in the guest room. We agreed not to move them across state lines without proper discussion, because the last thing they needed was another adult making impulsive decisions in the name of rescue. Amanda did not arrive Sunday. She texted at 9:05. I'll get them in the morning before work. Don't let Derek take them. Derek read it and said, before work? She's going to work? I said, apparently. He looked at me. Christine, I think she's lying about overtime again. Again. There it was. What do you mean again? He rubbed both hands over his face. When we were married, she said she had overtime on weekends. Turned out she was going to casinos with friends. I thought she stopped after Lily was born. Casinos. My sister had left her children with me for 1 hour, vanished for days, ignored every call, lied about work, and possibly spent the weekend gambling or partying while her 5-year-old blamed himself. That night, I barely slept. At 7:56 Monday morning, Amanda texted, running late, important work presentation, tell kids I'll get them after. Derek laughed once. Not because anything was funny. Because the lie had become insulting. I opened my laptop and typed a timeline. Friday 7:21 to Monday morning. Every call. Every text, every expense, every child statement I could remember, written carefully, not dramatically. Noah said, she does that sometimes. Noah said, Mommy stays out. Derek said, prior false overtime claims. Then I called Fenton Medical Supply again. This time I asked for Marlene. The receptionist transferred me. A woman answered briskly, this is Marlene. My name is Christine Walsh. I'm Amanda Walsh's sister. There was a pause. Yes. I'm sorry to call your workplace, but I need to verify whether Amanda was required to work overtime this weekend or attend any emergency staffing meetings starting Friday evening. Marlene's voice sharpened. Is Amanda all right? I don't know. She left her 2 children with me Friday evening for 1 hour, said she had work, and has not returned as of Monday morning. She is telling me she has an important work presentation today. A long silence. Then Marlene said, Amanda is not scheduled today. I gripped the edge of the table. She isn't? No, Amanda requested Friday afternoon and Monday off 2 weeks ago. My eyes closed. For what reason? I can't share personal details, but it was not overtime. I understand. Marlene's voice softened, but only slightly. Are the children safe? Yes. Their father is here with me. Good. Has Amanda been claiming overtime often? Another pause. I can't discuss her employment record with you. I understand. But I can tell you, Marlene said carefully, our company has not authorized weekend overtime in her department for several months. There it was. One phone call. The lie ended. Not because I wanted to embarrass her at work. Because she had used work as a cover to abandon children, manipulate family, and make everyone afraid to challenge her. Marlene asked, do you need documentation? I may. I can provide a general letter confirming her scheduled hours if Amanda authorizes it, or if required, through appropriate channels. Appropriate channels. That meant this had moved beyond sister drama. I thanked her and hung up. Amanda walked into my house 46 minutes later. Sunglasses indoors, hair slightly damp, hotel soap. Coconut lotion. A tote bag from a casino resort 2 counties away. She looked at Derek on the couch, then at me, then at the kids eating cereal at the table. Her face shifted from irritation to panic. What is he doing here? Derek stood. Being a parent. Amanda ripped off her sunglasses. Christine, you had no right. I looked at her. No right? I told you I had work. I called Marlene. The room went still. Amanda's mouth opened, closed, opened again. You called my boss? Yes. Her voice rose. You psycho. Noah dropped his spoon. I stood immediately. Not in front of the kids. Amanda pointed at me. You are insane. You called my boss because I was late? Derek said, you were gone for 3 days. I had things going on. Your children had things going on too, I said. Amanda's eyes flashed. You don't know what it's like. You don't have kids. That sentence had been thrown at me for years. When I could not attend last-minute birthday parties, when I refused to cancel work plans, when I suggested bedtime routines, when I worried about Noah's anxiety. You don't have kids. As if motherhood could only be understood by abandoning the people who loved your children enough to help. I looked at Noah and Lily, then at Amanda. No, I don't have kids, but for 3 days, I had yours. She flinched. Derek stepped between her and the table. Where were you? Amanda crossed her arms. None of your business. They are my children. I needed a break. Silence. There it was. Not work, not emergency, a break. I almost softened. Because mothers do need breaks. Parents need support. Single mothers need rest, help, compassion, systems, money, sleep, community, and honest relief. But breaks are requested, planned, consented to. They do not begin with 1-hour lies and end 3 days later in a casino resort tote bag. I said. Then you ask. Amanda laughed bitterly. Ask who? You always judge me. Mom acts like I should handle everything. Derek moved away. I'm drowning. Derek's face twisted. You told me the job in Indiana was fine because your mom and Christine helped. I was trying to be supportive. You were trying to make me the villain. She turned on him. You left. For work, to pay support. You left me with everything. And this weekend you left everything with Christine. Amanda looked away, her eyes filled. For a second I saw my sister under the lies, tired, scared, ashamed. But then she lifted her chin. You had them safe. I knew they were safe. That was the sentence that ended the last soft part of me, because she had not abandoned them with me out of desperation alone. She had calculated my reliability. She had looked at my love for those children and turned it into permission. I said, you do not get to use my safety as an excuse for your dishonesty. She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, Christine. No, you left your children for 1 hour and disappeared for 3 days. You lied about work, you ignored calls, you failed to provide clothes, medication information, proper diapers, or emergency contact updates. Noah thinks he did something wrong. Lily screamed for you at 2 in the morning. Amanda's face changed at Noah's name. She looked toward him. He stared into a cereal bowl. Baby, she said softly. He did not look up. That hit her. Good. It should. Derek said, I'm filing for an emergency custody modification. Amanda snapped. You can't. I can. You live in Indiana. I'm moving back if I have to. Over 1 weekend? He stared at her. 1 weekend that apparently wasn't the first. She looked at me. I said nothing. Her face crumpled. Christine! No. I'm your sister. I know. Then help me. I looked at the timeline printed on the table. I am. Her expression shifted. She had expected comfort. Instead, she got documentation. I'm calling a family attorney, I said. I'm also willing to help connect you with counseling, childcare resources, financial planning, or treatment if gambling is involved. But I will not lie, minimize, or pretend this was work. Her eyes widened. Gambling? I looked at the casino resort tote bag. She shoved it behind her leg like a child hiding candy. Derek closed his eyes. Amanda whispered, "It was a girls' weekend." 3 days, I said. I was going to come back Sunday. But you didn't. I lost track. Of time or responsibility? She cried then, loudly. Mom arrived during the crying, because of course Amanda had called her before coming in. Mom walked into my house using the spare key I had given her for emergencies, which I regretted instantly. "What is happening?" she demanded. Derek said, "Amanda abandoned the kids for the weekend and lied about working." Mom looked at Amanda, crying, then at me. "Christine, why did you call her boss?" I laughed, one short laugh. Because there it was. 3 children could have been standing in flames, and my mother would ask why I embarrassed the one holding the matches. I took the spare key from the hook near the door and held it out. "Give me your copy." Mom blinked. "What?" "My house key. Give it to me." "This is not the time." "It is exactly the time." "Christine." "No." "You came into my house to protect Amanda from consequences after she left her children here for 3 days. Give me the key." Mom's hand shook as she removed it from her ring. She placed it on the table like I had broken her heart. Maybe I had. Or maybe I had stopped letting mine be used as a public utility. I said, "Amanda is not taking the kids today until there is a plan." Amanda shouted, "You can't keep my children from me." Derek said, "They're staying with me here until we speak to council." Mom gasped. I said, "And if any adult tries to remove them while this is unresolved, I will call the police and Child Protective Services." Amanda stared at me. "You wouldn't." I looked at Noah, then Lily. "Yes," I said, "I would." That was the moment the room understood I had changed, not because I stopped loving my sister. Because I stopped loving her in a way that made children carry the cost. I need to pause here for a second. If you have ever been the dependable sibling, the emergency aunt, the safe house, the one everyone assumes will absorb chaos without making it official, you know what Christine felt in that kitchen. Love is not consent. Being good with children is not a contract to be used without warning. If this story is hitting close to home, leave a comment and tell me when you finally stopped letting reliability become a trap. And if you have not already, subscribe to Ultimate Revenge. The quiet part is over. The rest of Monday became a blur of phone calls, crying children, angry adults, and practical decisions. Derek called a family attorney he had used during the divorce. Amanda called me cruel. Mom called me unforgiving. Noah asked if he could watch cartoons. Lily spilled cereal on my floor. Real life is rude that way. Even when families are collapsing, toddlers still spill cereal. I cleaned it up. Derek sat at the table with the attorney on speaker. The attorney advised him to document the timeline, preserve texts, avoid escalating in front of the children, and file for an emergency hearing if Amanda refused a temporary safety plan. Since Derek lived out of state, it was not simple. Nothing with children ever is. But the attorney was clear. 3 days without agreed care, false work claims, no communication, and prior signs of repeated abandonment were serious. Amanda heard enough to stop shouting. For a while. Then she said, "I needed a break." The attorney, still on speaker, said calmly, "Ms. Walsh, needing a break is not a legal defense to leaving children without informed consent from the caregiver." Amanda went silent. I liked him. By Monday evening, a temporary agreement was made, not because Amanda suddenly became reasonable, but because she realized the alternative was formal reporting that would move faster than she could control. Derek would stay in town for 2 weeks. The children would remain with him at an extended stay hotel nearby, with me helping with daytime care when I chose and documented it. Amanda would have supervised visits for the first few days, then reassessment. She would provide full medical, school, daycare, and emergency information. She would share her work schedule with Derek directly. She would not leave the children with anyone without clear written agreement and return time. She would attend a counseling intake appointment. If gambling was part of the issue, she would contact a support program. She cried through signing the handwritten temporary plan. Mom cried too. I did not. I had spent my tears at 2 in the morning with Lily on my shoulder. Amanda came back the next day to bring the children's clothes, medication, and school folders. She looked wrecked. No makeup, hair unwashed, eyes swollen. For the first time in a long time, she looked less like the dramatic sister, and more like a woman standing at the edge of a hole she had dug herself. Noah clung to Derek when she entered. Amanda saw it, her face crumpled. "Hi, baby." He whispered, "You didn't come back." She knelt. "I know. I'm sorry." "You said 1 hour." "I know. Were you at work?" Amanda looked at me. I gave her nothing. She looked back at Noah. "No." His little face changed. Children can handle some truth when it is given carefully. What destroys them is being made to carry lies they can feel. Amanda said, "Mommy lied." I said I had work, but I didn't. I made a bad grown-up choice and I scared you. That was not your fault. Noah began to cry. Amanda reached for him, but he stepped into Derek's leg. She stopped. Good. Respecting that hesitation may have been the first honest parenting she had done all weekend. "I love you," she said. Noah did not answer. She deserved that. Not forever. But then, Lily, being 2, ran to her anyway and demanded to be picked up. Amanda held her and cried into her hair. I went into the kitchen because I could not watch without breaking. Later, Amanda found me by the sink. "Christine." I kept washing a mug. "What?" "I'm sorry." I turned off the water. "For what specifically?" She closed her eyes like she hated the question. "Good. I'm sorry I lied about work. I'm sorry I said 1 hour and disappeared. I'm sorry I ignored your calls. I'm sorry I didn't pack what they needed. I'm sorry Noah thought he did something wrong. I'm sorry I used you because I knew you wouldn't let them be unsafe." That last one mattered. I leaned against the counter. "Why?" She wiped her face. I was exhausted. "That's not the whole answer." She looked down. I was ashamed. Of what? Of needing help. Of hating my life sometimes. Of being jealous that Derek gets to leave and be the good parent on FaceTime. Of being so tired that when my friends invited me to the resort, I thought, just one night. Then I lost money. Then I tried to win it back. Then I couldn't face coming home. Then my phone died, and when I charged it, there were so many messages I panicked. I listened, not forgiving, listening. "How much did you lose?" She whispered, 1,400. I closed my eyes. "Amanda." "I know." "Was it rent money?" She cried. "Part of it." There it was, the next crisis waiting in line. I said, "You need help." "I know." "No, Amanda. Not Mom smoothing things over. Not me taking the kids. Not another lie. Help." "I know." "Do you?" She nodded, crying. "I called the gambling helpline this morning." That surprised me. "Good. I have an appointment with a counselor Thursday." Marlene called too. I looked at her. "What did she say?" Amanda laughed weakly. She said my sister sounded more professional than I ever have when calling out. I almost smiled. She also said, if I lied about work to cover personal misconduct again, I'd be fired. Good. Amanda nodded. I know. There was no dramatic hug. No instant reconciliation. Just 2 sisters standing in a kitchen with 3 days of damage between them and the first real sentence of accountability on the floor. The family fallout lasted months. Derek did file for a custody modification, not to punish Amanda, but to establish clearer shared parenting, emergency contact rules, and backup care agreements. He also transferred back to a warehouse in our state, taking a pay cut because, as he said, I should have been closer. Amanda did not like that, but she did not fight it as hard as I expected. Maybe because part of her knew the old arrangement had allowed her to disappear emotionally long before she disappeared physically. Mom struggled the most. Not because she loved the kids less. Because admitting Amanda had endangered them meant admitting years of enabling had not been kindness. She came to my house 2 weeks later with a casserole. I met her on the porch. She looked at the locked door behind me. You changed the locks. Yes. Her face fell. I'm your mother. Yes. You don't trust me? Not with Amanda's emergencies. She flinched. I never meant to make you responsible for her. No, you just kept saying I was better at handling things until everyone believed it. Mom cried. I was scared for her. I was scared for Noah and Lily. I know. Do you? She looked away. I'm starting to. I let her in. Not because everything was fine. Because the kids were not there. And my boundaries were not a drawbridge. They were doors with locks I controlled. At the kitchen table, Mom said, I should have been angry at her sooner. Yes. I thought if we made life easier, she'd become steadier. You made it easier for her to avoid consequences. Mom nodded slowly. I know now. I wanted to believe her. I partly did. Trust, like custody agreements, needs review over time. The public payoff came at Amanda's workplace, though not in the way people might imagine. I did not call to get her fired. I did not expose her to coworkers. I did not walk into Fenton Medical Supply with screenshots and a speech. The phone call to Marlene had already ended the lie privately, but Amanda had used work as her shield for so long that work became the place where reality first required a formal correction. Marlene called Amanda into her office the following week. Amanda told me about it later. Marlene placed her time-off request on the desk. Friday afternoon off. Monday off. Approved 2 weeks earlier. Then Marlene placed Amanda's recent claims beside it. Texts to coworkers implying overtime, messages to family using work as cover, and one internal scheduling note Amanda had altered to make it look like she was on call. Marlene said, your sister called because she was trying to locate a parent who had abandoned children under the claim of working here. That made this company part of a lie involving child safety. That will not happen again. Amanda cried. Marlene continued, you are good at your job when you are here, but you have used this workplace as an alibi. You are on final warning. Final warning, the kind family never gave her. Amanda came out of that meeting shaken. She texted me. Marlene said you sounded calm. I replied, I was calm. She wrote. That made it worse somehow. I replied, truth does that. She did not answer. But she stayed employed. Barely. For 6 months, Amanda attended counseling, a support group for gambling behavior, and parenting classes required by the revised custody agreement. She hated the parenting classes most, which told me they were working. Derek moved into a small apartment, 12 minutes from Amanda. The children began splitting time more formally. Noah started therapy. Lily adjusted faster because toddlers live closer to the present, but even she became clingy at drop-offs for a while. I remained Aunt Chrissy, but I stopped being the unplanned emergency service. I made rules. Written rules. Amanda hated them, then needed them. If she wanted me to babysit, she had to ask at least 48 hours ahead, unless it was a true emergency. She had to provide return time in writing. She had to answer her phone. She had to bring full supplies. If she was more than 30 minutes late without communication, I would contact Derek. If she disappeared, I would call authorities. No exceptions. The first time she asked under the new rules, she texted, can you watch Noah and Lily next Saturday from 2 to 5 while I attend counseling group? I will drop them off with clothes and snacks and pick them up by 5. I stared at the message, then replied, yes. She arrived on time, with supplies. Picked them up at 4:52. Noah said, Mommy came before 5. I said, she did. Amanda heard him. Her face flickered. Shame, pride, sadness, all of it. Good. Let accountability become visible to children too. Not as fear. As repair. 1 year after the 3-day disappearance, Noah had a kindergarten spring concert. Amanda invited me. Derek was there. Mom was there. Noah wore a paper bow tie and sang half the words to a song about sunshine. Lily sat on my lap eating crackers from a container Amanda had packed herself. After the concert, Noah ran to Amanda first. She knelt and hugged him. Then he ran to Derek. Then to me. Order did not matter. Everyone stayed. That mattered. Outside the school, Amanda stood beside me while the kids climbed on a low brick wall. I almost didn't invite you, she said. Why? Because I was embarrassed. About what? That you saw the worst version of me and still show up for them. I watched Noah help Lily down from the wall. I show up for them, not for your comfort. I know. She nodded. I'm grateful anyway. That was better than an apology in some ways. Specific gratitude without demand. I said, "You're doing better." She cried immediately. I am trying so hard. I know. I hate that it took scaring them. Me too. She wiped her face. Do you forgive me? I thought for a long time. I am forgiving you, I said, but I will never go back to being the person you can disappear on. She nodded. Good. That surprised me, she continued. I don't want you to. That was the first time I believed she might actually change. Not completely, not magically, but enough. Mom changed too, slowly. She stopped calling me first when Amanda had a crisis. She started asking Amanda, "What is your plan?" instead of asking me, "Can you help your sister?" She apologized to Derek for minimizing his concern. She took Noah and Lily one weekend a month, not as a cover for Amanda's chaos, but as planned grandmother time with pickup and drop-off written on the calendar. She also returned my spare key, not as access, as symbolism. I know you changed the locks, she said, but I want to give this back anyway. I looked at the old key in her hand. Thank you. I treated your house like a family emergency room. Yes. I'm sorry. For what specifically? She smiled sadly. For assuming your door should open whenever Amanda made a mess. I took the key. Thank you. I still did not give her the new one. Progress does not require foolishness. The final lesson is not that overwhelmed mothers are villains. They are not. Parenting can be brutal. Single parenting can grind a woman down until she forgets what quiet feels like. Needing help is human. Needing a break is human. Struggling with money, shame, loneliness, addiction, or exhaustion does not make someone evil. But lying to get help is not help. Leaving children for 1 hour and disappearing for 3 days is not a break. Using work as an alibi is not survival. And counting on your dependable sister to absorb the damage is not family. My sister left her kids with me for 1 hour. 3 days later, I called her boss. And that one call ended the lie she had been hiding behind for years. Not because Marlene had the power to fix our family, but because truth entered the one place Amanda kept using as cover. She was not working overtime. She was not trapped in a staffing emergency. She was gone. And the children she left behind deserved adults who could say that plainly enough to protect them. I still love my sister. I still love Noah and Lily. But I no longer confuse love with being available for abandonment. The spare key is gone. The rules are written. And when Amanda says 1 hour now, she means 1 hour. Not because she became perfect, because the next time she forgets, she knows exactly who I will call. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I know some of you have been the aunt, grandmother, sister, neighbor, or friend who became the safe place everyone used without asking properly. If Christine's story reached you, I hope you remember that your reliability is not a loophole. Your love for children is not consent to be lied to. You can protect the kids and still hold their parents accountable. Keep the texts, keep the call logs, keep the receipts, keep the timeline. And when someone uses a fake excuse to vanish, call the place they used as cover, and let the truth answer the phone. Subscribe to Ultimate Revenge for more stories about quiet women, family betrayal, silent comebacks, and the moment one calm call ends the lie. So tell me, if your sister left her kids with you for 1 hour, vanished for 3 days, and lied about working overtime, would you keep covering for her to protect the family image? Or would you call her boss and let the truth finally come out?